These are good boys, not learning. And I took them to the mountains to meditate.
I would do this Michal just for that.
They just loved it. I taught them how to meditate.
Why can't we do that? Let's do that.
And well, we could do that. We went hiking and went up to who knows where.
Let's calendar it now.
What do you say?
Let's calendar it now.
What does that mean, calendar?
Let's put it in the calendar.
Okay.
I'm not joking. Just tell me when.
Okay.
No.
Have to find a day which I don't teach. Nobody there, I'll look it up. So they really liked it there very much. They really liked it. We spoke about over here that a certain someone said, or I don't remember who, that the Marine County, someone told me over here that it's up north, a little place, and they did yoga before class, and even that helped. And
they do it here too.
It's unbelievable. It helps because it calms the person down. But that's the yoga. The yoga meditation is different type. But if you talk to Hashem, grass, it also calms you down, makes you focused, that makes you learn better, makes you everything better. I find that it works in every part of my life better. Okay, Lineda, we're working on that. Decided we should learn from because much easier to learn because so many days we don't learn. So I want to start from the Likuteitzes. So he says, you know what the Likuteitzes is, right? He says, they limit the Torah to learning Skaben Kolat Filis Cholavikrush. A person learns Torah, that gives it that all the tefillis and all what you ask Hashem is going to be in the skabel. Power of learning Torah is called v'chein v'chashir sunis ala nisrim b'nekom yishitzich m'gash milachnis. Very, very powerful thing. He's saying that the charm, the chein of people, he says, of people on Torah gets elevated. If someone is lacking chein, it's really he's not learning Torah. Maybe not learning Torah the right way, not learning. Torah gives a person chein. So, I always think to myself, B'nai Yisrael is made fun of by the secular world. Besides that, they hate us because they would be more Torah learning, there'll be a much greater chein. Torah gives the people chein. The reason is, he explains, keep them around, because the ches represents chachma, which is life. It's a very, very powerful thing with this. He says, chachma techayes b'leyu. What gives life to everything? The wisdom of Hashem. In every molecule, in every cell, in every has the wisdom of Hashem. That's how the wisdom of Hashem gives life to everything. Chachma techayes b'leyu. Kolshkin the Torah, which is the wisdom of Hashem, in a very smamish, is that gives a person chiyas, and the nun represents malchus. If a person mekabel all malchus shemaim learns Torah, that brings a chein into a person, great chein.
How does the nun represent that?
Nun is malchus. The shemesh yin and shemai pusik and tell him that's malchus. Rashi says the word nun means malchus. So then he says, so then he says, you should learn Torah b'koyach, the geschmack, b'koyach means singing, learning. Why? Koyach noisen koyach amalchus the kedusha. She says, "Gabam yetzatov yetzahara." We have a yetzahara. As I always say, every morning when we wake up, yetzahara is there to destroy us. Amazing. We don't think about it. We don't think how we get up in the morning. There's an enemy lurking. Imagine you get up and you have to tell yourself something. I think about it. It's really frightening. There's someone out there willing to kill you. Not hilarious, as we say. The Yetzirah. And it's the least we're afraid of. I don't think we walk out of the door over here and say, oh, maybe the Yetzirah is going to get me. If I drive by, who knows which section, that's when you get nervous. So he says, anyways, so by learning Torah with koyach, you have to learn Torah with a koyach. That gives the, with a brand. How you say brand in English? Enthusiasm.
Fervor, yeah.
Enthusiasm. That gives the koyach, the malchus, the kedushim, gam malchus, the Yetzer Hara.
Excitement.
Because the truth is, we do have, this is so important, to admit to ourselves every day we have a horrible Yetzer Hara. You know what it helps? It helps not to fool yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because we fool ourselves. You know, we rationalize. Yeah, no. Once you know, it's much easier. You know, when you know something is wrong, but you tell yourself it's not wrong. Famous Keep them around. You know, when you think you're doing the right thing, that's Hester but Hester. You know, never realize you're doing wrong. But if you're not, okay, this is wrong. I know it's wrong. Then I just have to fight the Yetzer Hara. Otherwise, you have two levels to fight. First, you got to find out it's wrong, and then I know it's wrong. You know, but anyways, that's what.
Rational people also don't see a wrong sometimes.
They're right.
That's a problem.
Yeah, that's a worse problem. The Kitteman says the worst. If a person rationalizes, he doesn't think it's wrong. I didn't do something so terrible. There's a head to it. Must be a head to.
Yeah. How do you see through that? How do you see past that? How do you get beyond that?
Yeah.
I mean, if I think I'm living a life of
no, but sometimes, you know, that's it's Lashon Hara. Sometimes, you know, there are certain things that we just step all over it. The point is, this is what he's trying to say. Learning Torah, it's so important to learn everyday Torah. No matter, and all the time. You have free time, learn. Then he says, and he says another thing, a very interesting thing. The Kitteman says there's a long Torah later in Nindala. The Rebbeinu Shalom sends us all the time, hints is the right word in Muslim, to get close to him. Do not go away. Imagine your wife would tell you, send you hints all day long. Come, you know, don't stray, you know, in a loving way, not in a nagging way. Why you late? You know, says, I can't wait till you get home, you know, in a nice way. You know, no matter how often she said it'll be so nice, you'll melt. The Rebbeinu Shalom all day long sends us messages, he says, how to get close to him. Don't go astray. Please. And everything, to every person in different ways. Every person, he says, if dibber, masa, and machshava, what people say to you, but people, you know what I mean? It's just, I always say over the Gemara Masechtas Avodah Zarah, this guy who's, what we call today, addicted to sex, and every zone that you can imagine, he had to do it with. Finally, you know, he had this zone, who knows what he paid for, or just before he's going to do it, she tried to, he passed gas, and she said to him, just like gas leaves your body, doesn't come back, yeah, there's no hope for you, you're a bad boy. And he heard this from her, and he jumped off and he did tshuva. Amazing. Sometimes the Rebbeinu Shalom says in the shol tachtas where a person is, sends a message that should hit home. And we say Eiseg Torah, he says, a person could be understanding and Muslim for everything that the Rebbeinu Shalom sends them. Especially what you're saying over here, that you think you're so, you know, dark moment, you know, what we call a dark place, going through a tough time, and you think to yourself, there's no way I could get change it and get close to Hashem. In the dark, dark place, you could also find Hashem. You know what I say often to people, I watch people who do it, I have someone, community, two people do it, they're dafka give a shiur, so that makes them learn every day. Nothing wrong with that. I always give this marshal. I once explained to a young man many years ago that he says the reason his shalom bayis is right now good because he doesn't want to fight in front of the children. That's such a good reason. What's wrong with that? So by the end of you made up. You didn't want to argue and you made up. The difference is because you yourself wanted to make up, or because of the children's sake, you didn't want to fight in front of your children. I don't know. I didn't understand what he was trying to say, but sometimes because of the children, we want to act nice, we want to act like a mensch, we want to be an example to the children. Great. So the same thing is over here. The guy who taka learns every day because gives a shir. 3 people. He gives a shir for 2, then another next week the other one gives a shir. It's a great motivation. Motivates you. Okay, then he says, Kitsa, well, this whole thing is telling us to learn Torah. Make sure you learn Torah every day, and make sure you learn Torah b'koyach, with a geschmack. That is as good to Mizgab the Yetzer Hara. Torah b'koyach. So then he says another interesting thing. This is, Menachem says over here, there's so many Hasidic Shesarim say this. This is one of the universal things about Hasidic Shesarim. Chazal say, Einu dem choyte in nechno riech shtis. You don't send unless a riech shtus. So it's not that the riech, after you choyte, the riech shtus left you. It stayed with you, unfortunately. That's the mishigasim that we carry with ourselves. Idiosyncrasies. When American don't say mishigasim, we say it a little bit nicer. Idiosyncrasies. He says that's because the riech shtus. So there's there's a mishigas that we have. He says the only tikkun is by learning Torah. The more Torah you learn, the more you chase out the mishigas. And the Torah is a refuah for your mishigas. Now I must say, many years ago, when I used to go speak in the rehab center, there was a guy who gave me a very hard time. That he had to be there because the court ordered him to go to rehab. Not his free choice. From guy never. As he says to me, Rabbi, I don't know, I'm here, I feel like I'm a prisoner. If I read the Tanya, 10 times, I'm sure I'm going to get healed. Why do you have to go through all that? So I said to him, I want to ask you something. If you broke your leg and it's fractured, you go to the emergency room and tell you it's really fractured, we need to put a cast on it. Do you think they say 10 times Tanya is going to heal? No, why not? Torah is a refuah. Torah is a refuah for many things, it's true. But I don't think your leg is going to heal. Maybe if you're a mamish Torah l'shma, but if you broke your leg, you need to have a cast put on. Something's broken in your system. I don't think the Tanya is going to help you fix your system. You're an addict, whatever the system broke. But what I'm saying over here, a different thing. We have mishigas, and we all know. I always tell this to young people. Remember, your wife is going to put up with your mishigas, you put up with her mishigas. No one is perfect. We each annoy each other. How could we not? We get annoyed at our own selves. I always tell this to myself. You get annoyed at yourself why you did something. So how could your wife not be annoyed with you? She has a right to be annoyed with you. But Al-Kapunim, but what the Kidman is saying, that learning a Torah helps push away certain mishigasim that we have. Because the Vedas does, every time you have an echbari shtus, the more Torah you learn, mamish heals a person to push away his mishigasim. Explains in the Kutuman inside explains because the Torah is Shemoisu Shekudish Baruch and Mishigasim, what really helps is the names of Hashem. There's a whole arichas about this. That Bekitza in short, learning Torah bekoyach, where it gives koyach to Yetzer Tov, to Mizgaba the Yetzer Hara, and learning Torah bekoyach again, what it does is it helps a person to get rid of the ruach shtis inside of them. Then he says a very, very important thing. We start to say this one of the biggest Yetzer Hara is when the Yetzer Hara tells you it's a mitzvah. That's so hard to convince people. That's like in mamish on the wrong track. You know, if a guy really thinks he's doing a mitzvah, you know, that really, really, really thinks it's so hard to change him. You know, it's a mitzvah to daven so late or whatever. Or other, you know, when you're a person, we fool ourselves, and like you just said before, rationalize. But even without rationalize, certain people have the things wrong. Period. In life, the way they look at life, the way they raise children, and you know, totally wrong. Don't have a good notion on my over here, but in life you'll notice that certain times we fool ourselves, and then you realize, look backwards, and you say, "What? That was such a mitzvah. What was I thinking?" But he says the Torah gives a person, it says not to be fooled. So one of the biggest, the Gun says that. The Gun also says that that one of the problems with the Yetzer Hara is that he fools us, makes into a Veda into a mitzvah. It's not an Aveda. Who says it's an Aveda? So you got to tell yourself, just like I eat every day, I sleep every day, I got to run every day. And make zvadas every day. And make a panasa and raise the children. Isn't it amazing what we could do every day?
And no exercise? No?
I really have to do exercise, Doctor told me.
So you have to go hiking, see?
Okay. We'll put on I have to figure out the calendar. Remind me tomorrow, take a look.
Okay, yeah. Can I answer every question?
Yeah.